This is what the average U.S. Olympic weightlifting hopeful has to eat a day to maintain his protein intake. And this is what he has to lift.
Just a reminder. At the Olympic Games, you don't have to come in first to win.
The Opera House glistens like it was just polished. It's room temperature. The water is calm. It's time to race. Michaeli Jones of Australia, who's the #1 triathlete in the world. There are, of course, 47 others in this event who have their own visions of glory. They are ready for the start.
Athletes, take your marks. And that is an official start. The first ever Olympic triathlon is now underway.
A 1-mile swim is followed later by a bike and a run. Right now, environment is a concern. Farm Cove feels like soda from a fountain. This week, the triathletes said they emerged with their jaws too cold to talk, thus the wetsuits. The early pace is being set by American and 1996 Olympic 4x200 relay swimming gold medalist Sheila Taormina. This morning, pre-race, she was approached by Michaeli Jones' Australian teammates Loretta Harrop and Nicole Hackett. It all spells out like an episode of What's Going On Here?
Yeah. One thing that has to do a lot for the swim towards the end is if the front person's tiring and she's feeling strong and she's behind me, tap on the feet.
That's what Karen told me to tell me. Good.
So
Good.
just so you're aware, if you get a tap on your feet, just
let them go by.
Yeah.
If you get a couple of seconds, like, it'd be smart for us to wait for whoever's
like if someone's struggled through transition, just keep an eye.
Have 3 instead of 2, or I might have a couple others. You never know. Who knows how it's gonna go?
So
that on the bike, 15 or 20 seconds.
we'll work that out there.
Yeah,
Okay.
just see what it's like once we get out there,
Let's
and
get
then
together
we'll talk.
and then,
So Harrop and Hackett try and recruit, even across national lines. They go on to mention staying in front of their fellow Aussie Michaeli Jones is important, knowing one alone is doomed in this race. It all doesn't seem cricket, but Michaeli is on her own. So out there in the water, plenty of trouble. Jellyfish to sting, and sharks in the neighborhood perhaps. Divers using these pods protect them from the real ones. But what about the others? Moving away from Sydney's Botanic Garden, you wonder. Sheila Taormina listened to what the Aussies said, but did she buy into the plan? Hackett and Harrop are right behind her, but Taormina isn't feeling their taps on her toes. Apparently she has her own plan to pull away. The field thins slightly, but the front group still contains all the expected powers who can influence the day, like Michaeli Jones. When triathlon at this Olympic distance was in its infancy, she became world champion in '92. Then she fell in love with Peter Colson, got married and moved to Carlsbad, California. and for 4 years skipped the big showdowns. Then this whole Olympic thing got going, and by 1997 she was back into the mix, all for this day. From Center Point Tower to the balconies of snazzy places, on big screens throughout the city, at the Opera House, along the streets, in the park, and aboard ship, Sydney is watching the first Olympic triathlon. Moving along Macquarie Point in the Cove, some swimmers are meandering, forced to recover and round the buoy. Sheila Taormina is having no such trouble finding her way.
You want positive attitude? Here it is. Sheila Taormina seems to have the elusive ability to enjoy the day, because it's what she's got. As for enjoying being in the Olympics, well, forget it. That's just over-the-top great. There is no one who knows her that hasn't seen that smile. Right now, however, she's trying to show everyone that the American Olympic Trials winner can do more than just swim. That chance comes later, but for now she's stirring the pot. For a long time in the sport, you could never build up a big enough swim lead to win the whole thing. But slowly, with a race here and a race there, that could be changing.
There is more evidence that certain swimmers have not stayed to the left of the buoy. Still, strangely, no action is taken. Her American teammates Joanna Zeiger and Jennifer Gutierrez are in the chase in pretty good shape, and they wouldn't be surprised to see how Taormina was doing. The swells are a little higher here as the waves bang off the seawalls. All that pre-race finagling by Australians Hackett and Harrop didn't mention this. Kelly Jones is having a great swim. Great because everything that was put in place to keep her back has failed. Hackett and Harrop lead the chase group, but at this level, swimmers know the strokes of their competitors. Jones knows they are right there. By now you know this is not the Ironman, the long televised 1,500-person event created on the big island of Hawaii. Shorter distances, though, only mean faster, harder pace. And there still is plenty of body banging when the course gets tight. Little has changed for Michaeli Jones. Her swim is still going great. Now the swimmers are wearing wetsuits because of the water's temperature, about 60 degrees, and some thought that it could level the playing field and elevate in the water those swimmers of lesser ability. Michaeli Jones may be evidence of that. Taormina's lead is now firmly established. Nobody is chipping into anything. But still keeping the pressure from behind is the young world champion of the Australian team, Nicole Hackett, number 30. With her, Nancy Kemp-Arndt of Luxembourg, number 25. Christine Hulk of France, number 46, with Loretta Harrop, 29. Taormina might want to start thinking about transition time. The reason the swim and exiting the water in triathlon is so important is that drafting is allowed in the next leg. Any breakaway from the very beginning is something you have to be part of. Before that, the first job for everyone today is catching Taormina. The chase group is far enough back so that all Sheila Taormina hears is her own stroke. But that is soon about to change with the approach to the concert hall, and that adds urgency to the strokes of Harrop and Hackett. Pre-race, they said they wanted to race together. The draw that determined their position on the starting platform helped them start that way. And now, they remain side by side. That part of the plan still works. 400 meters remain in the 1,500-meter, 1-mile swim. And on second thought, maybe Sheila Taormina shouldn't think about the bike just yet.
She's the favorite. And her bike is waiting. The solitary white speck in the chilly waters of Sydney Harbor is American Sheila Taormina. approaching T1, triathlon terms for the first transition. That turbulence, 37 seconds behind her, is everyone else stretching back to the last buoy turn. The next few minutes of this first Olympic triathlon are critical for them. If there's a talented group going out, be with them or else.
Sheila Tarmina is with calm ease, first in, first out. 18:36 in the swim. Body problem. Getting your blood so concentrated in the upper body down to the legs, whose job is now. Hackett knows Harrop is there. Michaeli Jones is there too. It's a NASCAR pit stop. Harrop and Hackett remain together. They figure it's their best chance for either of them to win. Jones is there just before departure, but the flight is leaving. This is a boarding that has to be done on the fly. Job well done. Michaeli Jones has the conspirators right in view. This has to be deflating to them for all that went into keeping her out of this picture. The triathlon begins its venture into the streets of Sydney with a rough uphill that forces Sheila Tarmina to get those land legs pumping. She knows the pressure from behind is furious. The chase group formulates into 15 riders, the Australian trio, the American duo, and an international buffet. This is the first of 24 miles, 40 Ks, which are broken down into 6-lap returns to the Opera House. We've talked about Jones. The current world title is Hackett's. But what about Loretta Harrop? What's her deal? Well, she had a stress fracture in her leg this year, but was still, based on rep, put on the Australian team. Triathletes who've trained with her in Lausanne, Switzerland say it's the hardest stuff they've ever done. Loretta says she's never been in a pool just for fun. You see, she is the competitive type. Late into the transition, almost 90 seconds back, is Canada's Carol Montgomery, who, in spite of twisting her back a few weeks ago, was a favorite of some because of her running. For that to be a factor, she's got a lot of catching up to do. The English routes of Sydney come out with a nearby passing of Hyde Park. The chase group is intact. Passing an American flag, Sheila Tarmina enjoys the first cheers out of town as one of the fruits of her swim. One person alone versus the power of 15. Those are not odds in cycling that usually work out. It's not an if, by the way. They're back there all right. And they're coming to get Sheila Tarmina.
The swim was just one small mile of the triathlon. Soon a gold medalist comes to the hall. Shortly after dawn, Michaeli Jones was the first to arrive with her Australian teammates, her formidable Aussie mates. Nicole Hackett, along with Loretta Harrop, tried to get American Sheila Tarmina to use her great swimming abilities to give them an edge. Clearly, this was win and beat Michaeli Jones at all costs. But a funny thing happened on the swim. Sheila Tarmina blew away the pack by 37 seconds. Sheila has 22 friends and family members in Sydney, and obviously giving them a show was important and successful. Cycling being what it is, the aerodynamic pack soon caught up, but there was the effervescent American urging everyone to join in and make it a race.
The lead pack is in the early miles of the 24-mile bike ride, and it still includes 15 cyclists, 6 laps through the city. In the second group, falling back, is running speedster Carol Montgomery of Canada, who is victimized by a stunning 3-rider pileup. They try to recover quickly, but the mentality here is everything must go perfect or else. The crash is a completely unknown quantity to Jones. The Australian's goal has been to keep close to her major challenges. She's done that, and now a major runner is down and out. So far, this is her day. Sheila Tarmina faded back when she was initially passed, but she's not through yet. Keeping up, keeping pace. Right with her is the soon-to-be genealogist from Johns Hopkins, Joanna Zeiger. It also so happens Joanna can run fast. Staying in this pack ups her odds. The Olympics has left Canada's Carol Montgomery behind. Injured in the crash, her run in the 10,000 meters, later in track at these games, has to be in question. The fact today is, those sneakers won't be necessary. Downhill at Macquarie Street, the Opera House waits. Just about everyone has taken their turn at the front, making the group aerodynamic and efficient. Jones trains differently in the States, and that's different than the other Australians. And the debate is constant over which way works. It's like every race is Exhibit A for the defense. On the uphill, little changes. The world powers, all there, pushing, pulling, watching. You get the feeling something's got to give. The skies are even overcast. Nothing is clear.
7 years of thinking about the games. 7 years of hearing about the games. Knowing that this is where it was to be. The opening ceremony had been glorious. The very next day, it was about Aussie pride. The nation's hopes could not be better. Through the bike race, Australia's 3 world champions, Hackett, Harrop, and Jones, are heavily interwoven in the plot. The pace is an all-out sprint.
On the left, Woolloomooloo Bay. Love that. The drafting aspect of the group sees many taking their turn in front. This pack, this peloton, is the center of this triathlon's universe. What happens will come from here. Everyone else is too far back.
The group knows Joanna Zeiger. She has a specialty, and as long as she sticks on the bike, she can use it on the run. She's also an asthmatic. Now is not the time. Up ahead, a break attempt. German Joelle Franzmann tries to distance herself from the pack, but she's joined by Jennifer Gutierrez of the United States. Together, they represent a threat. The only way it works is if they take turns cutting through the air. This is aerodynamics, physics, and hard work. They build a 10-second lead, and some of Sydney's historic architecture is but a blur. The efforts of these two quicken the pace of the chase group, which, if it works together, it could probably catch the two at any time. That sudden urgency is all over Sheila Tarmina's face. Franzman and Gutierrez still play your turn, my turn. Jennifer teaches disabled kids and used to run bike between schools. Franzman is the German triathlon champion, but this is bigger than that. It's a rare visit to the front by McKeely Jones, but she doesn't want to be the worker bee for long. She slides back to the hive. This is a very organized pursuit.
Gutierrez and Franzman can't increase their lead. Past St. Mary's Cathedral, the ominous presence of the chase group, and who's in there is strong. Very, very cautious through the hairpin. No time for something stupid. On the uphill, the chase goes single file, 13 long. Gutierrez was the highest-ranking American on this course in April, but the aerodynamics of this is something only two can rarely beat. If you are going to go out, you've got to go further than this. There isn't a single step of this course without people cheering. The guess of 250,000 might be low, but the energy for McKeely Jones is very high. All the cover photos, almost a decade of winning triathlons, make her easy for Sydney to pick out. This is how she dreamed it would be. She may just get that chance for a showdown on the run. Home field advantage, or too much to bear. On the downhill approaching the harbor, the two escapees have been reeled in, and it seems like the pack eases just a bit. Hull once again. There are last-second checks in the group before the Opera House, but all they see are the same faces they've been seeing for miles, just in ever-changing places. One lap to go, then the run, and this one feels like it's going to be close.
Some came to win, others just to race. All of them to finish. How then could it turn out this way in their Olympics? There are some questions that have no answers. That's just the way it is.
The final miles of the bike ride in the first ever Olympic triathlon bring the same 15 riders to the frenzied noise of T2, the second and final transition.
Keely Jones, Loretta Harrop, and Nicole Hackett all wrecking their butts together. Jennifer Guzzi.
Unbelievably, the Aussies are side by side by side.
A blinding transition, Steve True. Well, just look at that.
Joanna Zeiger wants to play too. The blur in the transition is decisive. Only 7 of the 15 come out intact. With all their credentials, it's hard to imagine that one of the Australians isn't going to emerge from this. 6 miles, 2 laps to the Opera House. After the lead group, Joanna Zeiger is 10 feet back. Then Sheila Taormina and Jennifer Gutierrez of the United States, in place where they can't give up. The course carries the runners along the torch relay route from 2 days before. This has been a busy place. A trio swoops to the front. Keely Jones, Loretta Harrop, and Magali Mesmer of Switzerland. Last April, Mesmer won a race in Monaco. Okay. Was second at the European Championships. All right. 7th in the world is her ranking. Not bad. Still, this is heady stuff for her.
It's got to be a great feeling when there are certain situations where you show you've got the stuff. Joanna Zeiger tried to make the Olympics as a swimmer and a marathoner. Didn't make it. This is her Olympic chance. Jennifer Gutierrez had her moments on the bike, but this pace is leaving her behind. Her American teammate, Sheila Taormina, well ahead and doing the best she can to hold on to what she's got. It's still 3+1, looking more and more like they won't be caught. Towards a cruise ship that has become an Olympic hotel and easily over a hill, things hold firm.
Mind games can be big. Do you handle the obstacles looking fresher than the others? Take just a slight lead. Loretta Harrop looks like that's what's on her mind. The 3 know each other, but Mesmer is an X factor against these 2 in this setting. With a first ever Olympic gold on the line, what will she do? Another swift triathlete is set to knock Sheila Taormina to 6th, and the power she has in doing so is pretty staggering. Taormina, head back, mouth open, looks for the first time today like it's not going well. Just like that, because of her momentum, Brigitte McMahon changes the picture. With 4 miles to go, this is a doable deficit. In the shade, on a slight uphill, in fact, the top 5 are only 20 yards apart, meaning everyone's bunched up. Sheila Taormina's gotten a second win and hooks on to McMahon's speed. 2 Aussies, 2 Swiss, 2 Americans. Everybody holds their ground as they approach St. Mary's Church. It was special when the Pope visited here in 1988, and it's special here again today. Joanna Zeiger uses the flat as her time to challenge the front. Harrop fading, and Zeiger says hello to Mesmer and McKeely Jones. With no guarantee of being part of future Olympics, triathlon just wanted to put on a good race. The sport got its wish. Loretta Harrop recovers to make it 4, and Brigitte McMahon takes advantage of it all by making it 5. The mother of 3-year-old Dominique is making the most out of this celebration of 100 years of women in the Olympic Games. Down Macquarie Street they go. Loretta Harrop and McKeely Jones. Australia would be delirious. Joanna Zeiger, it would be her greatest day. Brigitte McMahon and Magali Mesmer, it would be a major upset. One more lap to go, with there never having been something so valuable waiting for the winner at a triathlon finish line like this ever before. With 5 minds spinning at the possibilities, McKeely Jones has to be the one with the most confidence.
Okay, get another deep breath, relax, bend a little forward, get the legs going. Almost in the home stretch. I can hear the crowd. It's just deafening. They're just cheering. Go Aussie, go Aussie.
It all seems like it's working out that way for McKeely Jones. If you asked her if she would take a sprint finish for all the marbles, she'd accept. 2 miles to go, and the 5 remain intact as they approach the last bad uphill. It's straight ahead and about 150 feet up. Still, there's a long waterfront approach. Time to think about how you want to handle it. Jet skis, cabin cruisers, choppers, blimps, and the cheers of people create a cacophony that seems appropriately loud. Up they go. The first rise, with the harbor bridge in the background, sees all intact. What would that one do? The one who goes for it first.
Up the last big rise, the surprising Brigitte McMahon looks the strongest. Have a baby. Don't win a triathlon gold medal. Improbable? She's going for it. Loretta Harrop is the hill's major disappearance. The Australian team's training devil is suddenly 5th. McMahon pounds out the steps, but McKeely Jones is still there, true to her dream. She's got to feel she can blow McMahon away based on resume alone. Meanwhile, Joanna Zeiger is behind, being left back. A major charge is what's needed. A major charge is what's missing.
There comes a time in every game and every race that becomes a game to put up. Show us what you got. It's a rematch of the April race here in Sydney. Australia's hopes lie with a world champion. Switzerland's with Brigitte McMahon. 1/2 mile for the Olympic gold. McKeely Jones, for the first time in the duel, moves to take the first place step. But the McMahon response is immediate. Nothing doing. On the downhill, which can burn the leg muscles after miles like these, McMahon responds by moving past Jones. If the Aussies could push her from behind, they would. And it is the screams of go Aussie that are coming from the Opera House steps, just like McKeely Jones dreamed they would. 100 yards. That's all that's left.
What a performance, ladies and gentlemen. One of the greatest races you've ever seen. Unbelievable.
It was a dream finish after all. Except it was 33-year-old Brigitte McMahon's dream.
Here we go, the next Swiss Miss. Please put your hands together and welcome the Olympic bronze medalist, Magali Mesmer.
Behind that joy and the bronze of Magali Mesmer is Joanna Zeiger. She tried as a swimmer. She tried as a marathoner to make it to the Olympic Games and failed. In triathlon, she made it and competed like she cherished the chance. 1989 triathlon world champion Mark Allen is at the finish.
Brigitte McMahon, the first gold medal in the sport in Olympic history. You did it in dramatic fashion, out-sprinting the favorite Michele Jones on her home turf. How did it happen for you?
Well, when I was running next to Michele, I was thinking, okay, that's what I practiced for many, many times. You know, I was on the track doing sprints, and I pictured myself sprinting with Loretta. I pictured myself sprinting with Magali. I pictured myself sprinting with Michele. And when I came to the sprint, I said, okay, now it's Michele, and this is what I practiced. Go for it.
McMahon's gold by just a few steps. Michele Jones the silver, Mesmer the bronze, Joanna Zeiger, Sheila Taormina, and Jennifer Gutierrez. A good day for the Americans. Back to Mark Allen.
Michele Jones, silver medalist. Congratulations today. It looked like you were conserving your energy on the bike. Pick up the race from there for us.
Yeah, certainly. You know, after the swim, I was right on the tail end of the lead group, you know, the bunch. I was really happy with that. And on the bike, you know, there were so many people working hard. I figured, you know, this is going to come down to the run. I knew Brigitte was in there, and I raced her a couple of weeks ago, and she dropped me in the run a lot earlier. So, you know, I'm really, really excited, although I'm going to relive that last 100 meters for the rest of my life. But at least I can walk away and say, I got a silver medal at the Olympics.
It had a finish that, after miles, came down to strides. It had athletes who embraced the history that was made and reminded us that everything we dream is fragile at best. An Olympic debut became a spectacle. It riveted a nation and offered a salute to motherhood all in one. Not a bad day for triathlon. When Captain James Cook sailed into this harbor in 1770, he had been at sea for nearly 2 years. He had found a place that no one in the civilized world was certain even existed. The ship that brought him was called the Endeavour. A short 2 centuries later, the city of Sydney awaits a modern-day explorer. The first man to claim an Olympic gold medal as the best triathlete in the world. The favorite, Simon Lessing, physically and psychologically towers over the rest of the field. Peter Robertson is Lessing's opposite. They call him Robo, and he relishes the notion of cutting Lessing down to size. This is Craig Walton, by far the best swimmer of the bunch, an Aussie who grew up in Tasmania. He's a devil on the bike as well. American Hunter Kemper has all of the tools. If he has the best swim of his life, he'll be in the hunt for a medal as well. Cook was considered the greatest navigator of his day. The man who wins here will have to have a similar gift, the ability to chart a course through his own human frailties.
Stunning is this Sunday in Sydney. Boats line the course behind the Opera House, and as we peek over its parapets, we see the starting line. The pontoon, where 52 of the best trained athletes in the world are lined up and ready to go. There in the middle, Simon Lessing.
Take your marks.
Lessing is very unhappy with his start position. Stuck in the middle of the pack, he'll have to fight his way out of the splashing frenzy of so many other swimmers. To be swimming in this water is like throwing 52 guys into a washing machine and setting it on agitate. They're literally pounding on each other, trying to establish position. Craig Walton is off to a blistering start. This is his kind of water, rough, choppy. It's like a little splash in the Australian surf.
Somewhere back in the pack is Robo, Peter Robertson. A year ago, his world ranking was in the 200s. This year, that's changed. With a swimming stroke that would make Ian Thorpe seasick, number 23, Peter Robertson, is well behind. But the truth is, any one of 20 men could win this race.
As they round another big turn, you can see just how physical this phase truly is. These guys don't need swim caps. They need helmets. Unless, that is, you're in the lead, like Craig Walton. Reaching at his heels is Simon Lessing. The Sydney Harbour Bridge is called the Coat Hanger, and today it's draped with a beautiful suit of blue, as the leaders in the swimming phase of the men's triathlon have less than 100 meters to go. Craig Walton is still first, followed by four-time world champion Simon Lessing. Lessing has been practically invisible on the world circuit this year, racing only when and where it suited him. He races strictly on his terms. Everyone knows he's the man to beat. What they don't know is he as good as they fear he might be?
More often than not, the finish of a triathlon comes right down to the wire. So every second counts. In the transition area, preparation is meticulous. No detail is too small. Every second shaved off the transition is a second saved on the course. The steps of the Sydney Opera House are but a few strokes away. Walton still leads, but Lessing is only seconds behind.
Walton fairly skips up the ramp. A lot of guys hate this transition. The body rebels against the rapid change in muscle use. Not so for Walton. He says if he bikes without swimming first, he feels like a fish out of water. And Lessing is where he told us he had to be after the swim, on Walton's tail. Lessing is in great position, the living embodiment of everyone's worst nightmare. It's Lessing and Walton on the bikes first. As the rest of the pack scrambles ashore, they're all thinking the same thing. Catch Walton. Walton is their ticket to the lead. He's as strong on the bike as he is on the swim. And if he leaves you behind, you'd have been a lot better off sleeping in this Sunday. It's a half-mile uphill climb on Macquarie Street to start the cycling segment of the men's triathlon. The first two out of the water are the first two up the hill, Australia's Craig Walton and the awesome Simon Lessing, with Willan of Sweden and Hamish Carter of New Zealand ranked #1 in the world right with them. Not far behind, a whole string of riders, pushing up the hill with all they have, each one acutely aware of the strength of Craig Walton. They can't let Walton pull away with Simon Lessing in tow. A minute behind the leaders, the dangerous bantam, Peter Robertson. Walton works furiously to maintain his lead. What he sees behind him, he doesn't like. Simon Lessing, too close for comfort, looking relaxed, unconcerned. Worse still, the pack is closing in. The leaders slow down. Walton and his gang of 4 will soon be swallowed by the peloton. It's the first of 6 times past St. Mary's Cathedral. It's early in the race. No calls for prayers just yet. But what's not so good for Walton and Lessing is a blessing for Hunter Kemper. The young American surges through the pack and to the lead. Hunter Kemper of the United States is in the lead of the men's triathlon and trying to break away. Walton and the pack know Kemper can run, and run fast. The threat is real. And the response, immediate. Walton and company close in.
The biking leg of the triathlon is 40 kilometers, 24 miles long. The undulating course through Sydney's Royal Botanic Garden, and beneath its glistening skyline, is deceptively difficult. Rider after rider reaches for the lead of the peloton, as athlete after athlete reaches deep inside himself, searching for the mental and physical power to stay in first place. But always near the lead is Simon Lessing. Surely in the back of Lessing's mind is the come-from-nowhere Australian Peter Robertson. True to form, Robo closes the gap. With nearly 4 laps completed, it's Craig Walton again in the lead, with New Zealand's Craig Watson and Simon Lessing in pursuit.
time is running out for Craig Walton. Only a fair runner to medal, he must leave the pack behind. The peloton speeds down Macquarie Street past the seat of New South Wales state government. The politicians argue there in a place called the Bear Pit. So far, the pack has put the bite on Walton, and it's not about to let go. The stands in front of the Sydney Opera House are jammed. And Aussie Craig Walton leads the bike segment of the first ever Olympic men's triathlon. Walton just can't break away. There's less than 2 laps to go. Does anyone want to break away? Who really wants to win this race? Olivier Marceau of France and Conrad Stoltz of South Africa have spoken to the rest of the pack. It's us. Catch us if you can. And for a while, the pack stays close. Then Marceau and Stoltz inch away. The grip of the peloton has been broken. For some mysterious reason, no one pursues them. Soon their lead is formidable. 15 seconds stretches to 45. Where, oh where, is the pack?
Clearly, the pack is fatigued, and it shows. No one is seriously hurt, but if these guys think they can pick themselves up from a dead stop and catch the leaders, they're dreaming. Marceau and Stoltz stretch their lead to 50 seconds. One last time past St. Mary's, the peloton has been left in the dust. Robo and Lessing are the only ones in the pack that have a hope or a prayer.
Marceau is the reigning world champion. Stoltz, the South African, follows in the path of Simon Lessing, training in Europe, living on peanuts. A stunned crowd of 250,000 cheers for an Australian leader, but right now, there's no one to be found. The hapless peloton follows down the street. They look to each other for leadership. There is none. Stoltz stretches his back, preparing for the transition. Marceau and Stoltz are the rabbits. If the favorites want to take a crack at a medal, they're the ones who will have to pull some magic out of a hat.
Who will be the first out? It is the world champion, Olivier Marceau, will be first out over the 10-kilometer run. And as they go out, they're going to be getting into their rhythm as fast as they can. This is where it's all going to unfold.
With a clean transition, Olivier Marceau takes off. Conrad Stoltz is right with him. Their lead, almost a minute. The pack has made a critical error. The 6-mile run is still to come. The clock is their enemy. Marceau heads into the Botanic Gardens. Every second counts. The pack transitions at a furious pace. Even for the strongest runners in the sport, Simon Lessing and Peter Robertson, the lead may be too much. Marceau knows Lessing and Robo are behind, far behind. But does Marceau have the heart to hold the lead? Olivier Marceau, the current world champion, leads the men's triathlon. His lead after the bike leg was almost a minute. He's running right next to the cove where the race began less than an hour and a half ago, at the steps of the Sydney Opera House. The chase pack includes Craig Walton and a tiring Simon Lessing. And here comes Robo. Peter Robertson. Can he repeat his performance of last April, where he came from so far behind to win the World Cup race here in Sydney? It was then he earned the right to represent Australia at these Olympic Games. They talk about home court advantage, and Peter Robertson is running in his own backyard. It's an uphill climb for the next half mile or so. And a new face leads the chase pack, Stefan Vučković from Germany. And there's American Hunter Kemper, who once led this race. He's now far behind. His Olympic dream only partly fulfilled. At 24, his best may still be ahead of him.
Marceau is a good runner, but his lead is shrinking. Vučković is closing in, and suddenly another Simon has entered the picture. Simon Whitfield of Canada. He was almost knocked out of the race in that bicycle pileup. He was 24th off the bike and is now among the top 3. It's a story of the hunters and the hunted, and Vučković has Marceau's scent. The baking sun has toasted Peter Robertson. His tank's empty. There will be no glorious heroics to inflame the hometown crowd. Robo is wasted. Simon Lessing is flat-footed. He's got nothing left. The mystery of Simon Lessing has been answered. He is mortal after all.
Marceau, once leading by a minute, is about to be eaten alive. Vučković will have him, with the other Simon Whitfield, nearby. Vučković came in second on this course last April. A journeyman triathlete, his inspiration came when his girlfriend, Anja Dittmer, qualified for the German women's Olympic triathlon team. If she can do it, I can too. Vučković is running strong. He jumps out to a 10-yard lead. With Whitfield in second, and Jan Wahula of the Czech Republic moving into third, Marceau relinquishes any chance for a medal. He risked it all, took a big lead, but when all was said and done, could not claim the prize. Vučković powers up the last big hill on the course. Suddenly, over his shoulder, Simon Whitfield is with him, step for step. He makes his own move on one of the toughest parts of the course. If Vučković isn't shaken by this, he ought to be. And hard on their heels is Jan Rahula. Marceau has the best view on the course of the men who are fighting for a medal. Stefan Vučković is charging down Macquarie Street in downtown Sydney. This is the home stretch. The gold medal in the men's triathlon is within his reach. His lead over Simon Whitfield of Canada is 20, maybe 25 yards. Whitfield grew up in Canada but came to live in Australia as a teenager. His father is Australian and his 92-year-old grandmother is just across the harbor watching the race on TV. But hang on, Vučković is looking over his shoulder. His pace is slowing. Whitfield is speeding up. As the sails of the Sydney Opera House come into view, we have a race. Whitfield flew over the 6.2-mile run in just under 31 minutes. Mark Allen, the world champion in 1989, has Whitfield at the finish line.
Simon Whitfield, a gold medal. The second half of triathlon's debut is complete. Before the race, I saw you by yourself, trying to keep your mind quiet. What was going through your mind today in the race?
Oh, you know, Lance Watson, my coach, told me that great things happen to people who make great things happen to themselves, and that's all I was thinking. I got to make a great thing happen. The one thing I have absolute confidence in is that I can sprint, and I ran a couple of 55s on the track last week, and I was saying, Lance, it's all on if I'm there with 200 to go, and I was. And it was all about who wanted it, I think.
Whitfield had one answer for anyone who's asked him what his goal was at the Olympics in Sydney. I just want to hear the Canadian national anthem. That's all.
Whitfield, Vučković, and Rahula, the first men to medal at an Olympic triathlon. The triathlon is two things, really: an athletic contest and a test of will. Through stormy seas and leg after leg of the bike race, the giants prevailed. But this was a day that the favorites would falter. Today, a 25-year-old from Canada reached a place no man had ever been before.